Everybody, welcome to the Gentle Art Podcast with Gene Dunn. Tonight we have the privilege of speaking with Q Martin, a former jiu-jitsu student of mine and a kind of acclaimed or award-winning nurse. And Q, I want to say thank you for coming on the show, and what a privilege it is to be chatting with you tonight.
Gene, it's my pleasure, because it's funny because, you know, I moved 600 miles away from a place that I called home for, my God, I don't even know, it was 30 something years.
Right.
And to hear you call me and just reach out to see how I'm doing, it was such a blessing, because I was, so many people that I thought I left behind.
Yeah.
Have reached out to me, and I'm like, you know what? Mileage doesn't really mean anything.
No, it doesn't. And I think that's a testament to who you are as a person, brother. So let's dive in. So Q, you were a jiu-jitsu student about 10 years ago, correct? You were coming to the dojo?
Yes.
Yeah. And that time you worked for New York City Sanitation, correct?
Yes,
Yeah,
I did.
Yeah. So tell me a little bit about your life in New York City Sanitation, and so that we can kind of build a platform to go on. So what was that for you?
What happened was that I met my wife, and we were two young kids, 19, 20, trying to figure out our, where we were going with our lives. And when we realized that we wanted to be together, I said to myself, I have to kind of let go of childish things and kind of get a job that was going to, you know what I mean? Like, this is pretty much the foundation of every relationship.
Right.
Every man at some point has to kind of let go of childish things and stop going to the clubs and yada this and yada that, and say, hey, I want to make a life with this person.
Right.
Share my accomplishments, share her accomplishments, build a life together. So I ended up taking multiple tests, while I was in school, going through college, to try to, make a career out of my future.
Right.
So I took the police department test. I took the sanitation department test. Right. I got called to both. My wife, my girlfriend, fiance, and now my wife of 21 years said to me,
that's amazing.
I do not want to think about you going in day to day with your life on the line.
Right.
She's like, if I had to choose, I would rather you go. And it's funny, you'll hear this from many sanitation workers. Their wives said to them, I'd rather you come home dirty than with holes in you.
Right.
And this is the choice I took. I took the sanitation department. We got together. We got married. We had two wonderful kids. I have a 15-year-old daughter right now, and I have a 13-year-old son right now. We built a life together. I spent 21 years on that job. And I believe this is why we're going to talk about this right now, because we're trying to figure out how I got to this time right near February 2024.
Right.
So
it's fascinating, right? Like to be playful about it, you're slinging garbage in New York City, right? You were on the truck. I think I've seen you on the truck a few times, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
It was funny because
rolling through the neighborhood.
I don't know if Gina, I don't know if you remember this, but there was one time that you saw me and my partner across the street in Avenue U and West 6.
Yep.
And the foreman was out there. You came across, we were talking, he rolls up, and I got to tell you, I remember this like it was yesterday. We were across the street from the produce store, and you said to me, it was like, oh, Q, I don't know, your boss is coming up. You're in trouble? I was like, no. He comes up, he's like, hey, if you guys just get this one street for me, you guys can go for the day. And I'm like, sounds like a deal. That was like, my God, that was like 10, 15 years ago.
Right. So it's just so fascinating to me. So you you're slinging garbage, really, and then you're
Mhm.
like, here's also what I hear. I hear that like it was very important for you to like be very loving to your wife, and also like you weren't an independent, right? Like you're not the, I didn't hear that like you're doing what you want to do no matter what, and your wife's got to lump it. Like I heard that like you were very conscientious, you were very on purpose, and your relationship, the life you're building together was super important. Like you're
Yes.
considering her. I think that's amazing to point out. I unfortunately, I think I have not done that in a lot of my relationships as well. And it's just amazing to hear, buddy. Like that's I think it's just notable.
Yes, absolutely. My relationship with my wife is what's one of the things that's defined me throughout the years. A lot of the decisions that I've made to get me to this point has been about not just my wife, but my children.
Right,
Uh, at certain point, man and woman, mother, father, they have to think about themselves in the point that they are in their life, that they're not just an island. You
right,
know,
right,
the decisions that they make impact so many other people.
right,
They, as a husband, when you take upon a wife and you have children, you're responsible for so many other people.
right,
Wives, mothers, women, as they think about themselves and their role in this world, they have a family, they have an extended family that they have to think about. Like,
right,
you'd have to be a fool to think of yourself as just an individual person walking upon this planet.
right, right,
So,
right.
yeah,
So so I'm understanding that that's like informing your decision making process. So you get to retirement. You're not at retirement age like in the traditional sense of 65, but you've put in 21 years in sanitation, and you're ready to retire out, correct?
yes,
And so that's right around the time that COVID hits?
man, Gene, that is a really great story.
Yeah.
So, I don't know if anybody knows about what the fire department, police department, corrections department, and sanitation department. We have a very specific union which enables you to retire after 20 years. And it doesn't matter
What
what
age you are,
age you
right?
are.
Yeah, right.
So in 1999, 2000, and 2001, there was a massive hiring for those four organizations. Anybody who got in, and it was a lottery, anybody who got in at that time was given more or less a lottery ticket. You had
Right,
20 years. It doesn't matter
right.
when when those 20 years, how old you are when those 20 years happen, you could retire. And if you chose to do nothing with your life,
That's one of the appealing features of the job, right? It gave you that, right?
yes,
Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah, yeah.
And we all jumped on it. It
Right,
was that was a golden ticket.
right. So so you get to the end of that and you're intact, right? Like you're not one of these bitter union guys that are like, F this. Like you're like, what's next? I'm still young. Is that
Yeah.
how it goes?
Uh yes and no.
Mm-hmm.
So in I believe it was 2017, I ran into you in a grocery store on Avenue U. And at that time, I was having a little bit of a conflict because I knew the time for retirement was approaching.
Right,
And I did not know what I wanted to do with the rest of my life, but I know that sanitation wasn't going to define me as a person.
right.
And I know I was going to be leaving at an early age, and I still had, to make a quote, I still had a lot in the gas tank.
Uh-huh.
um, I was thinking to myself, what can I possibly do to make this world? And I said to you earlier in the conversation, you have to think about yourself as not an island.
Right,
And I have two kids in tow.
right.
And I'm sure there's a lot of people out there who have family members, kids, this and that in tow. that they want to make this world a better place for them.
Yep.
So when I saw you in that grocery store, I was thinking to myself, what can I do to make this world a better place? Because as much money as I can amass when I pass on, that money goes nowhere.
Right.
It goes to my kids, this, that, but I won't see anything.
Right.
So it was a question of legacy at
Right.
that point.
Did we talk about legacy in the grocery store?
We did talk about legacy.
Huh.
And you had mentioned to me how you were mentoring people who wanted to do something more, businesses and this and that,
Right.
what they wanted to do past what they were doing right now.
Right.
And I got to tell you, life is not without a sense of irony, because
Yeah.
when I was trying to figure things out, there you were. And you had mentioned to me, reach out to me, Q. I can guide you. I'm doing this and this and that. I kind of knew the road I wanted to go through.
Right.
And the road I wanted to go through, because I spoke to another guy. His name was Dave, and he was a firefighter. He had retired, and he had gone back to school to become a nurse.
Oh,
and we
wow.
were sitting. He had 2 kids. I had my 2 kids. He's like, Q, I'm one of the most rewarding things I've ever done is be a nurse. And I think that you would be a perfect candidate to be a nurse. You have the disposition, you can help a lot of people. And I really feel like you're like me. This is him talking.
Right.
He's like, you feel like you just want to go out there and help as many people as you can. And it was exactly what I wanted to hear.
Right. What
and
you
that was a
needed to
couple of
hear,
months
right?
before we talked.
Right.
And then I saw you and you said the same thing. And I was like,
Wait, what did I say? What did I say? Do you
you
remember?
had mentioned to me, you were like, what are you doing with your life right now? And
Right.
I always took what you said to heart, because it came from a truthful place.
Thank you.
And I said, you know what? This can't be a coincidence.
Right. Right.
Like the seed was planted and then you were kind of like the water.
Uh-huh. Let me ask you something, Q. Like, I think a lot of us, including myself, like, I had my own business since I'm 24 years old and basically
Yes.
did what I wanted to do. And when I reached the age of, relative like 41, 42, I still felt this problem. Like, martial arts, while it's a beautiful career and it's an art
Yes.
and there's so much to it, it's like the information gets transferred to another person, and then
Yes.
like there's not something so tangible for me, so like
Yes.
and that's the way it occurred for me. So I bumped into the legacy issue. It's why I started doing painting, really, is because like
Yes.
there's something concrete to show that like I existed. So like I hear that like you satisfied this career, you're well into your family, and then you bump into legacy. And so was that like the thing that made the decision for you? Like, or was like, were you just so passionate about helping people, or is it both? What is it?
No. So I'm going to answer that question right now. I was not passionate about helping people. It has to do with legacy, because at a certain point in anyone's life, they want to look back and say, what did I contribute to this planet?
Right.
What did I do? What will I be remembered for?
It's a beautiful question.
I'm not going to be remembered for slinging garbage in the back of a truck. Yes, my
it's
wife
an important
and children
role,
will
bro.
remember that I.
We need you. We needed you then. It's an important role in New York City. I don't want to
Yes,
minimize
absolutely.
it. Yeah. I love the guys that pick up the garbage in front of my place.
Oh,
man.
without a doubt.
Yeah.
Without a doubt. My wife and children will remember that I was a good husband and a good father, but it has to be more than that. Like for you, yes, absolutely. You were probably, if not the best instructors of martial arts that I've ever had.
Thank you.
Not only were you a great teacher, but you were a great mentor.
Thank you.
But at some point, you yourself want more.
Yep.
That's what that was the thing that got me at a certain point. And I said to myself, I was like, I need to be remembered for something more than just what I'm doing right now.
Mm-hmm.
And nursing was what I thought in my head. This is it. This is the spear that I need to go out there and make a difference.
Right.
Because at some point in everyone's life, when they put their head on the pillow for the very last time, they are going to reflect
Yep.
on the life that they have lived.
Yep. Yep.
And they're going to say, what did I do with this short period of time that I had in existence?
Right.
What did I do?
Right. I got a question. It may seem odd, but was it like a lightning bolt for you? Was it like divine? Was it like a divine message? Did you know
Without
it?
a doubt.
It was like a lightning bolt. It was like clear,
Absolutely.
right?
Absolutely. And that is not just for me.
Yeah.
Everyone on this planet, everyone in existence on this planet right now has a divine moment, whether they choose to accept it as divine or not.
Yeah. I'm bouncing in my seat, Q. You can't see me, but I'm so in this conversation. So good.
Without a doubt.
Good, buddy.
Without a doubt.
And then I think it's important, like, so when you act on the divine message, like, it seems to me a very courageous move. Like, you go from this career in sanitation, and you have this family, you have people that you know are counting on you, you're supporting them, right? At least financially, and as a good dad and husband. It's got to take some balls to go, like, okay, I'm shifting directions here. Like, did the lightning bolt include the courage to make the step, or did you have to wrestle with that?
I believe that every decision that a human being, man, woman, child, makes in their life is a wrestle.
So you did wrestle with it.
It's either go left, go right, or stand still.
Right.
Or go forward. Everyone, it doesn't matter what you do. It really has nothing to do with what decisions that you make. Every decision, small, large, is a wrestle.
Yep.
It really is. For example, a guy who is an alcoholic, he walks down the street every day. He chooses not to walk past that alcohol store.
Right.
He chooses to go the other way.
Right.
It's a wrestle. Right. He knows he can walk past that store and walk in at any second of the day. Right. And we don't put the weight that this man or woman wrestles with every day that they choose to go the other way.
Right.
We don't put that type of weight. We wrestle as human beings. We wrestle with decisions every day.
Right.
Every day.
Right. So it takes some courage. And what do? You go to school, you go back to school. How does this manifest?
Oh my God. That was everybody thinks. And when I went back to school, I was in my 40s.
Right.
I literally had no reason to go back. I had a pension guaranteed for the rest of my life. I could have sat on my hands, just kind of lived off the money that I was going to get, and called it a day.
Right.
There's no shame in that.
Right.
For all the people who are listening to this that are fire department or have a pension or government agents that done it, I am not begrudging you in the least bit. It was just not what I was going to do.
It wasn't for you.
It wasn't for me. So I went back to Kingsborough Community College, which I was part of CUNY for a great many years before I joined the sanitation department.
Right.
I went back, I walked in there, and I said to them, "Hey, listen, these are the credits that I have. What can you do for me?" They said, "Well, what do you want to do?" It goes, "You are a physical therapy major."
Right.
I goes, "I would like to be nursing." Right. I was like, "Okay, well, you have to do this and take these few classes, and we can actually get you into the program." I said, "Okay, let's just sign me up." So I worked during the day. And this is a funny story because my kids were very young at the time where I went back to school. So me and my wife devised a strategy. She was working and she was getting home at 6:00. And I had classes at 6:00. So I would get the kids from work, run home, get the kids, play with them at the playground, run home, do homework with them. My daughter would sit on the left. My son would sit on the right, and I would be sitting in the middle doing my homework. We all would do
Oh,
homework
wow.
together.
Beautiful.
At 40 years old, we were all doing homework together. I would make dinner. I would leave my house at 5:30 to get to class at 6:05, and leave my young children in the house, lock everything up. Thank goodness that they had alarm systems that you could like lock your house up.
Yeah.
I said to my wife, I'm jumping in the car. I'm going right now. She's like, I'm 25 minutes away. All right, no problem. There's no way that they can burn the house down at this point. Run.
Listen,
we hope.
we're gonna cut this
hope.
part out because if Child Protective Services hears that. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding, buddy. I was latchkey for years, man. My mother worked 80 hours.
I was a latchkey kid for years,
buddy,
and I was in Bed-Stuy Projects as a latchkey kid, so I think my kids are way above the curve right now.
Yeah, your kids had it great.
So I would run to college. As soon as I parked my car, got a parking spot, called my wife, hey, are you home? She's like, and my wife, wonderful woman. She was like, yes, I'm home. The kids are safe. Thank you for dinner. It's delicious. I would go right into class and be there for 3 hours, get out at like 9 something at night, and then drive home and then go to work the next day.
Let me ask you something. Do you think that the kids understood then the like, not just the sacrifice, but like what you were doing? Do you think that like,
yes,
they got it, right? I'm sure.
So my kids got it because my professors at Kingsborough Community College, shout out to Kingsborough Community College, because they were allowing me to bring my kids into school because they wanted, because a lot of the students that were there were continuing education adults,
trying to
kids,
better their lives,
trying to better themselves. They were allowing them, since we were night students, to bring their kids in to see what we were doing.
Wow. So
my kids at an early age knew exactly where Dad disappeared to every night.
Buddy, I'm so fascinated to know like what that gave them, like who they're gonna be.
Thank you for listening to the Gentle Art Podcast. Please share, rate, and review. And if you have any questions or you'd like to reach out, please contact us at thegentleartpodcast@gmail.com, or contact us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, or thegentleartpodcast.com.